Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, proud to support the mission of KPBS and privileged to serve San Diego clients. Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, helping homeowners maintain drain, heating, and cooling systems since 1978. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley, and by the following. By viewers like you. Thank you.
Good evening. It's Wednesday, December 22nd. Thank you for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. We begin tonight with two more vaccine mandates, one from the governor and the other from the state university system. The goal? To keep more Californians from getting sick as the pandemic surges on. KPBS reporter Kitty Alvarado begins our coverage with who the governor is targeting first for boosters.
We've seen a significant increase in the number of identified cases.
COVID cases are spiking across the state. At a news conference in Alameda County, Governor Newsom called attention to just how quickly case numbers are rising.
Last week, we had 5,400 cases identified. Today, just shy of 11,000 cases of COVID identified. So almost a doubling of cases in 1 week.
The governor started by taking a rapid test. Then he announced 3 new actions aimed at slowing the spread of the virus, which has now mutated into a faster, vaccine-evading variant called Omicron. First, healthcare workers will now be required to get a booster vaccine by February 1st.
We need to make sure we don't have staffing shortages. We need to keep all of you healthy and safe. And again, the best way to do that is to get boosted.
Second,
I do not want to see our schools shut down.
Newsom is ordering 6 million COVID tests, mainly rapid tests, to expand screening for K-12 students returning to school from winter break,
so that they can get those results back quickly and make sure when they go back into person, they're doing so safely, knowing that they have not contracted the disease over the holidays.
And finally, the state's more than 6,000 testing sites will have expanded hours.
Particularly where there is high demand and there's some bottlenecks, and we're assessing that and working in real time.
At the end of the news conference, Newsom acknowledged that nothing is certain with this virus, and a strategy can only work if people are willing to do their part.
At the end of the day, nothing we do here at the state or even in Alameda County, which is doing an extraordinary job, matters compared to what you do and the decisions you make at home.
Kitty Alvarado, KPBS News.
And CSU officials announced today that faculty, staff, and students who are accessing university facilities or programs will be required to get a booster shot. KPBS reporter Melissa May breaks down the plan and reaction to it.
The California State University system is made up of 23 public universities and announced today that in order to return to campus for the spring semester, all eligible faculty, staff, and nearly 500,000 students will have to get a COVID booster by February 28th, or 6 months after an individual received their final dose of the original vaccine. CSU Chancellor Joseph Castro issued a statement about the booster announcement and ended with, "Implementing the booster requirement now will help mitigate the potential spread of the variant on campus as they repopulate in January after the winter break." Local universities like Cal State San Marcos and San Diego State are informing their populations through email, their social media platforms, and other forms of notification.
There's just been a lot of discussion about the Omicron variant and the spread and what does it mean for our community? What is the best way to protect ourselves? And so the CSU's answer to that is to get the booster shot.
Christine Vaughn is the Director of Communications for Cal State San Marcos and says the university had below a 2% positive COVID rate throughout the fall semester on campus.
Taking it day by day and making sure that we are following guidelines and listening to our leaders and our medical experts and our public health officials to know that that we're taking the right steps forward.
San Diego State University is offering incentives to encourage their community to get the booster. Everyone who enters their booster information before January 3rd will be entered into a drawing to win prizes. The CSU's current COVID-19 vaccination policy still applies. That allows students and employees to seek exemptions on medical and religious grounds. Melissa May, KPBS News.
Some good news for those trying to manage student loan debt. President Joe Biden is extending a freeze on repayments by pushing the deadline out to May. Those with student loan debt were about to see those protections end early next year. Part of the nation's pandemic response is to allow those affected to avoid default without accruing interest. The San Diego Unified School Board will appeal a judge's ruling that struck down the district's vaccine mandate. It would have prevented unvaccinated students over 16 from attending in-person classes. KPBS reporter Gustavo Solis tells us what comes next.
San Diego Unified faced pushback almost as soon as they announced a vaccine mandate back in September. Within a month, a group called Let Them Choose sued the district, claiming the mandate was unlawful and unfair to students. And on Monday, Superior Court Judge John Mayer struck down the mandate.
We did win. So we did win, and that ruling is in place, and San Diego Unified cannot exclude any students that haven't gotten the COVID vaccine. All students get to remain in class.
Mayer supported the idea of a mandate, but ruled that San Diego Unified went about it the wrong way. The school district did not include religious or personal belief exemptions in its mandate, something the judge says the school district does not have the legal authority to do. On Tuesday, San Diego Unified appealed the judge's ruling. It's unclear why the district didn't simply include religious exemptions in the original mandate, but they did share a statement that read in part, "We are 100% determined to maintain the vaccination mandate." Let Them Choose says news of Tuesday's appeal doesn't take away their legal victory.
We're still celebrating. The ruling stands, and we are very confident that we will continue to prevail in an appellate court.
In its statement, San Diego Unified reiterated that the vaccine mandate for all school staff remains in place and has not been challenged in court. Gustavo Solis, KPBS News.
The San Diego Gulls won't be playing tonight at Pechanga Arena because of COVID-19. The American Hockey League says the issue is with the visiting team, the Stockton Heat, which has players in COVID protocol. The league hasn't said when the game might be rescheduled. The Gulls are planning to host 2 more home games next week. Those are still expected to go on. Just days before Christmas, a surge in new COVID-19 cases and hospitalizations is causing chaos and confusion across the country. Reporter Daryl Forges with why health officials say many could be putting themselves at high risk this holiday.
COVID cases surging yet again. The Omicron variant spreading rapidly nationwide. The Department of Health and Human Services reports hospitalizations are rising steadily.
Things are moving quickly, right? So about a week ago, we reported that we had about 3% of our sequences now representing Omicron. And now this week, we're reporting up to 73%.
Now Americans are scrambling, waiting in long lines to get tested. President Biden announced his plan to distribute 500 million testing kits nationwide in January. But some cities are pushing for tests immediately.
We really need those at-home tests. It's a problem we don't have them. And I think the president should take the Defense Production Act and take it to the maximum, because we're going to need billions over the next few months.
Public health officials say if you're fully vaccinated and boosted, you are much more protected heading into this holiday season. But it's also important to take safety measures before you travel. In the wake of the spike in cases, some cities are canceling or reconsidering New Year's Eve celebrations. The NHL is pausing its season, the NBA postponing games, and some shows on Broadway are shutting down temporarily.
We are not telling people to hide or hunker down or surrender to this situation. We're telling people to be smart. If you're not feeling well, stay home for sure.
Daryl Forges, KPBS News.
Another story to watch in the days ahead is the weather. The National Weather Service is already issuing a flood watch for San Diego County. It's all expected to hit us starting on Thursday night. That's when a flood watch begins for local coastal, valley, and mountain areas. Local desert communities will be under a flood watch Friday morning. Several inches of rain are expected, bringing a risk for rivers, creeks, and areas burned by wildfire. It was a big storm almost a year ago that did serious damage to the Ocean Beach Pier. A portion has been off limits to visitors ever since. KPBS reporter Alexandra Rangel tells us about the repairs that are now getting started.
There's 3 little mackerels we got. We've only been out here less than an hour.
Ed Jimenez has been fishing at the Ocean Beach Pier for 3 years now. He says it's where he goes to unwind from the busy work week. And despite a portion of the pier being closed off to the public, he says it's still his favorite place to fish.
It's a little deeper, so yeah, the fishing would be a little bit better over there. But as far as still having a nice, clean, safe place to fish, it still does the job.
Jimenez appreciates the city making efforts to repair the pier. City officials announced emergency repairs are underway and will take about 4 months to complete. The west end of the pier being the section that has sustained the most damage from storm conditions and deterioration. In a statement released by Mayor Todd Gloria, he says, "We look forward to completing these emergency repairs so San Diegans can once again enjoy everything this iconic landmark has to offer. We are also working on a long-term plan to keep the Ocean Beach Pier accessible and in good shape for generations to come." Earlier this year, Gloria announced $8.4 million in regional funding had been allocated for the pier. However, estimates show a full repair or replacement of the pier is in the $50 to $60 million range. OB Pier is the second longest in the West Coast and attracts more than 500,000 visitors annually. Alexandra Rangel, KPBS News.
Senior residents who want to get a COVID vaccination or booster shot can get a free ride from Jewish Family Service. The JFS On the Go Senior Transportation Program serves local seniors of all faiths and backgrounds. If you are a senior or a caregiver, you can call 858-637-3210 to schedule a free ride. You can also go to jfssd.org/onthego. JFS is also looking for more volunteers to help out. A pill to treat the symptoms of COVID-19 is finally here. The Food and Drug Administration has given authorization for Pfizer's antiviral pill called Paxlovid. It's for high-risk adults and children 12 and older. In studies, it has shown to reduce the risk of hospitalization and death by 88% if it is given within the first 5 days of COVID symptoms. The Biden administration says it is buying 10 million treatments of the drug, which is taken over the course of 5 days. Another drug maker, Merck, has also asked for emergency use for its antiviral pill. Americans are saying yes, even more to Obamacare, according to a new report. A record number have enrolled in coverage, and it looks like they're sticking with the Affordable Care Act into the new year. Here's reporter Gabe Cohen.
I'm just waiting for January 1st.
Sarah Morley spent 2 years without insurance, but she just enrolled in an Affordable Care Act health plan after getting an $8,000 hospital bill that she's paying out of pocket.
It became a necessity.
What did you think of the prices?
I was really relieved and kind of shocked, actually.
New numbers released Wednesday show ACA enrollment has hit a historic high for 2022, with 13.6 million Americans already signed up for coverage, and the deadline's not until January 15th. Since President Biden took office, 4.6 million people have gained health insurance. Why do you think we're seeing record enrollment?
So a major factor is likely the expanded subsidies in the coronavirus relief package that Democrats passed earlier this year.
The motion is adopted.
The American Rescue Plan pumped billions of dollars of subsidies into the ACA marketplace, lowering premiums for 90% of consumers and expanding access to an additional 3.6 million uninsured people, many of them middle class. More than 2.8 million Americans signed up during a special enrollment period earlier this year.
It's quite plausible that the subsidies could explain most or all of what we're seeing.
The Biden administration also extended the current enrollment period and reinstated millions of dollars of funding that President Trump slashed for advertisements.
New law, lower prices. More people qualify.
As well as navigators.
We've been busy.
Jody Ray's team connects uninsured people with coverage in Florida.
Probably one of the most contributing factors has got to be that we're in a pandemic.
A recent poll from the Kaiser Family Foundation shows public support for Obamacare is at an all-time high. 58% have a favorable opinion, compared to 43% when President Trump was elected.
The long-term trend shows that the ACA has gained popularity over time.
Today, some Republican state leaders are still throwing up roadblocks, like restricting the work of navigators, even though several red states have high enrollment numbers. Florida leads the nation in ACA enrollment, but Jody Ray says state and local health departments are actively keeping navigators out of buildings where people access government services.
Well, that's a lot of uninsured people that we could potentially provide assistance to that we cannot.
I reached out to Florida's state health department several times, but didn't hear back. Roughly 27 million Americans are still uninsured, and 64% of them are eligible for coverage assistance. The Build Back Better bill would extend those subsidies and expansions from the American Rescue Plan through 2025. But if the bill doesn't pass, those benefits could expire by the end of next year.
Late in 2022, people are going to find out that their premium payments are going to double. And those announcements are going to go out right before the midterm elections.
That was Gabe Cohen reporting. Also worth noting, enrollees are paying no more than 8.5% of their income toward coverage, down from 10%. Lower income policyholders also receive subsidies that eliminate their premiums. Earlier, we told you about the flood watch for San Diego County that takes effect tomorrow night. Mark Mancuso has a closer look at the rain coming our way.
Well, it's time to dust off the umbrellas again because here comes rain, and it could become heavy later Thursday into early Friday. Until then, we're rather cloudy, but here comes the atmospheric river, and that should really soak us into Friday. The weekend, we'll see cool air lingering and maybe a shower or two for some. How much rain are we expecting? Well, along the coast, a soaking of 1 inch to 1.5 inches. The valleys, 1.5 to 2.5 inches. The mountains could see 2, 3, maybe 4 inches of rain. And even the deserts, we could see greater than 1/2 inch. For tonight, will be cloudy. Our temperatures will be hovering in the mid-50s. And there you can see our blanket of clouds overhead. Oceanside down to 51. Mount Lagunas at 43, El Cajon at 53. As we check on Thursday's weather, the atmospheric river settles south and it starts to take aim on our area, so the rain will be on the increase. Looking at temperatures, we'll be hovering in the low 60s. Escondido, San Diego here at 67, Ramona's at 60, Borrego Springs pretty mild at 73, Mount Laguna at 47. Friday, well, we see the rain right overhead here, pretty heavy at times into the morning hours. A lot of showers around. Saturday will be drier, but it'll be a little bit cool. Let's take a look at our forecast. Rain rise Thursday afternoon, heavy at night and into Friday morning, and then a little cool over the weekend as we dry it out some. As we take you inland, here comes the rain, heavy at times into Friday. Weekend looks cool, doesn't it? Temperatures in the mid-50s. Head up to the mountains. Looks breezy and wet. And then for the weekend, quite cool with some wind. And then as we head to the deserts, even here, we'll see some rain. And then for the weekend, some drier conditions. And for KPBS News, I'm meteorologist Mark Mancuso.
I'm Judy Woodruff. Tonight on the NewsHour, hospitals struggle to keep up with the influx of patients infected with the Omicron variant. Coming up at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
Looking to throw again. Going to the end zone, and it is caught. Touchdown. Tyrell Shavers.
And that What is the play that really put it away last night for the Aztecs? They're the 2021 Frisco Bowl champs. And more importantly, they just capped off one of their best seasons ever with a team record 12 wins. SDSU football can now look ahead to returning home to San Diego, where they'll be open up the brand new Snapdragon Stadium next year in Mission Valley. One half of a famous Hollywood directing duo was going solo to tackle a Shakespeare classic. KPBS cinema junkie Beth Accomando says the tragedy of Macbeth is a holiday gift.
By the pricking of my thumbs, something wicked this way comes.
Something wickedly good.
Whence is that knocking?
Joel Cohen, without his brother Ethan, has turned to the tragedy of Macbeth for a stunning solo project. Stylistically, the film is full of contradictions. It's breathtakingly cinematic, yet often works on sets that feel distinctly theatrical. But the unusual combination turns the story into an intimate and claustrophobic marital drama about love and ambition.
Full of scorpions is my mind, dear wife.
Cohen then directs Denzel Washington to often deliver lines, especially his soliloquies, in an almost flat style.
Hear it not, Duncan, for it is a knell that summons thee to heaven or to hell.
Yet the visuals are so intoxicatingly vivid that you succumb completely to his interpretation. Macbeth is Shakespeare's swiftest play and is filled with startling imagery that Cohen fully taps into. Arriving on Christmas Day, the tragedy of Macbeth is a gift that will bring joy to anyone who loves the bard or seductively stylish cinema. Beth Accomando, KPBS News.
And as we wrap up 2021, KPBS is revisiting some of our original feature reporting. This spring, that included a behind-the-scenes look at The Shell. John Carroll shows us how this brand new addition to San Diego's delights the ears and the eyes.
The Shell. Such a simple name for something so utterly unique.
It's magnificent, it's elegant, and it is ours. It is San Diego's.
And for San Diego Symphony CEO Martha Gilmer, it is a dream come true. When Gilmer took over the symphony more than 6 years ago, the orchestra's outdoor concerts were held in the same place, but in a markedly different setting. A temporary stage set up each summer and taken down each fall. The Shell, which was originally scheduled to open last year, will host concerts and other events year-round.
We had a whole season booked last year, so many of those will come forward a year, but there are also new artists that we're going to partner with. And you know, we're going to do movies, we're going to do mariachi, we're going to do full-on symphonic concerts, we're going to do guest performers.
All of it held in a venue that is state-of-the-art in every way. These pictures are from a few weeks ago when the symphony recorded performances to be shown online. They show one aspect of what makes this place so amazing, the lighting design. Lights on the Shell itself and on these towers that will create a feast for the eyes. But it is the sound that elevates the musical experience to stratospheric levels. Sound everywhere, from the stage to the very back row.
There are microphones on the stage and speakers on the stage that create basically an indoor acoustic environment for our musicians. They have the most beautiful blended sound and they can hear each other exquisitely. So the music making is going to be first class.
The large, familiar-looking speakers on stage facing outward are obviously for the audience's ears, but it's the speakers on these towers that will make the sound out here so special.
Those speakers are surround speakers, create a surround sound for the audience. You'll feel enveloped. And also there's a delay in it so that you will have a synchronized present sound.
Sound that will easily reach the shores of Coronado, but Gilmer says the symphony wants to be a good neighbor. The state-of-the-art sound design will help with that.
And we have real-time sound monitoring device on the soundboard itself, at the back of this property and on Coronado, so that it's all feeding to the people running the sound.
The design and construction of this new venue goes way beyond the shell itself. A raised berm has opened up a much larger area for seating. The old setup allowed for only about 2,800 max. The new setup will allow seating arrangements of between 3,500 and 8,000. Up to 10,000 for certain special events. And the old food vendor trailers are long gone, replaced by some of the best culinary experiences San Diego has to offer.
We have Richard Blaze, who will be creating incredible meals in the kitchen, fully equipped, beautiful kitchen, 3-course dinners that can be served at your table. We've got Lola 55 tacos. We have Biga pizzas. We have Tracy Borkham and her, pasta salads. Of course, beverage of your choice.
Apart from the stunning stage, the amazing state-of-the-art lighting and sound, there is another big difference with this new venue. If you were here before and you had to go to the bathroom, there were porta potties out here. Not anymore. There are now more than 60 new bathrooms right here in this hallway, all of it under where the seating area is. When it's not being used for performances, the venue won't just sit empty. 85% of it will turn into a public park. Talk about a great place for a picnic. But as public as it is, the cost to San Diego taxpayers was minimal, the city chipping in about $50,000 of the $85 million price tag. Nearly all of that came from donors. An exact date is yet to be set, but Gilmer says it will open this summer, August at the latest. Then this dream turned into reality by the work of 133 people from 32 companies will come to life. It will be here in this breathtaking setting for generations to come, for the artists of the future to continually breathe new life into it.
And make it something that San Diego is known for, looks forward to, and that is just an iconic part of our city.
John Carroll, KPBS News.
And you can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Good night.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, proud to support the mission of KPBS and privileged to serve San Diego clients. Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, helping homeowners maintain drain, heating, and cooling systems since 1978. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley. And by the following: by viewers like you. Thank you.